our penny box hunt, and I got a box from a bank that had all customer rolls. They said, sorry, all we have this time are customer rolls. Do you still want them? I said, sure, why not? I can make a video out of them. So usually I don't do my customer rolls on my live streams because you just never know what's going to get. It's a wild card here. They may already been searched. We might get lots of Wheaties. We don't know. Usually typical customer boxes, I get less Wheaties, but different variations, more variations, and more Canadians too. So we're going to open this up here, do a video on it. So let's get it going here. We got 50 rolls to go through here, and we do live at 25 and 50. So let's break into it, and I'll bring you in on the first find. All right, already on roll 2 here. Roll 1, I did get a 2009. I didn't show it, so a little damage on there. But we got our first Canadian of the rolls right here. We always love showing the Canadians there. And there it is, 1973 there. That is 98% copper goodness from our friends up north Canada. We appreciate your Canadian pennies because we know you don't like them no more because you stopped making them in 2006. So there is the Queen. God save the Queen right there. So our first Canadian, our first foreign find here. So I thought I'd bring you in on it. I probably won't show them all, but there's our first one there. We usually get quite a bit, especially in customer rolls, so I'm expecting a lot. So we'll keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, we're on roll 4 here. We got our first Wheatie. So actually a little surprised that we got one this soon, but I saw it when I was laying it out. It is right there. So I don't even know what year that is. So let's flip it over and see what we get. What year do we get right here? And it looks like we got 1957D. So second to last year of the wheat cent. So a common wheat cent right there, but still 1957 Denver right there. That is our first Wheatie right there. I didn't think I saw anything else here. It was kind of loosely spread out here, so I'm not seeing anything else. But we got our first wheat cent of the box. I'm already loving it. So anytime I find wheat cents, I love it. So there we go. And we'll keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, we're on roll 7 here. We got multiple Canadians in here, so I thought I'd bring you in. I saw them right away, so I figure I'd bring you in on this one. So here comes the first Canadian here from 1993 there. That is 98% copper goodness from our friends up north in Canada. We appreciate your Canadian pennies. That is my third Canadian find. And here comes the second of the roll and fourth of the box there. It is 1993. That is still 98% copper goodness from our friends up north in Canada. A little older Queen right there, but still, we'll still take that there. 1993, that is 98% copper goodness. And I saw those first two, and I just didn't check the rest of the rolls. I just came right in. So let's go in here, just do a quickie search here, and I'm not seeing anything else. So we'll keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, we're on roll 13 here. I thought I'd bring you in because we got multiple Canadians that I didn't see to the very end here. So let's get to it. Here comes the first one here. We got 1978 there in pretty decent shape. So 1978 there. That is 98% copper goodness from our friends up north in Canada. We appreciate your Canadian pennies. That is number 7 of the box. And here comes the second one there. So let's flip that over. There's a little bit older Queen there. But it's still 98% copper goodness. 1974. So 2 from the 70s. 74 and 78 there. That is Canadian number 7 and 8. So already getting close to my average here. So I didn't see anything else. So let me bring you in on the next find. All right, very next roll number 14 here. We got multiple finds in here, so I thought I'd bring you in. First, we'll start off with the Canadians. There's 2 more in here to make it 9 and 10. At least 2 more that I saw. And that first one was an ender there. There it is. It is 2001. It is my first Zinker. My first Zinc Canadian there with the older Queen right there. Well, semi-older Queen there. Midlife Queen. Late midlife, I call it. Now, there's that one. The second one, where did that go? Right. Nope, that's not it. Right. Oh, I passed over it right there. That one is 98% copper goodness from our friends up north of Canada. 1970 there. So you got to love it there. There it is. 1970. Canadian there. That is number 10, so already hitting our average on Canadians. And we got a wheat cent here when I was flipping it through, and I didn't even finish it. I guess when we got up to here. And there is our second wheat cent. We got 1956 Denver there, so we're getting some late Wheaties, but they still count as points. So we got 1956 there, wheat cent. Look at the beautiful wheat right there. We will take that. Our second of the box, 10 Canadians. And I'm going to quickly go through here because, man, oh man, this roll was chock full. And I'm showing you the wrapper as always. And there's been a lot of copper in these rolls as well. That's always a good sign. This one doesn't look like as much, but trust me, there's been tons of copper. We'll wait at the end of the show, find out how much we got. So there are the finds right there. I will bring you in on the next find. All right, roll 16 here. We got multiple Canadians in here, so I thought I'd bring you in. Let's go. They're right close to each other right there, so let's flip them over. First one is 1985 right there. I think it's 85. Yep, 85 right there. So there you go. That is 98% copper goodness from our friends up in Canada. That is my 11th one. And here comes the second one, and that is going to be 1964 right there. So you know what that means. It's going to be a young head. So there we go. They made the young queen there from 1964 and older. So that's what we're looking for. A nice young head there from 1964 there. Again, 98% copper goodness from my friends up north in Canada. I appreciate your young heads there. That is Canadian number 12. And I don't think there was anything else in here. So I will keep you in and bring you in on the next find. All right, here, roll 18. I thought I'd bring you in quick. And we got another one from Canada here. And it is 1964 right there. So you know what that means, right? When it's 1964, we have a young head. There she is, all young and beautiful there for the queen. 98% copper goodness from our friends up north in Canada. That is Canadian number 14. We are rolling in the Canadians as always, like I always do here. I didn't see anything else in this roll, but I really haven't searched it much either. That's a 64 Denver. A lot of 64s are common, so we'll keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, we're on roll 19 here, and I didn't see it when I first went my fast through, so it was third on the end right there, but we got another wheat cent coming our way. It was facing up, that's why I didn't see it. It is another 1957 Denver, so we're getting all these late 50s, so probably typical customer rolls. But there it is. That is our third wheat cent of the box right there. I'll take anything I can get right there. 1957 Denver there. That is the third from the end there, so I'm pretty sure the other two in 1973 Denver and 1994 Philadelphia, so we'll check those out, but we will bring you in on the next find. All right, you see what we have down there? We have the 25th roll. It is live at 25. We open up the 25th and 50th roll live. So let's get into it here. These customer rolls. This is the roll that became the 25th one. Overall, not too shabby. We got 4 Wheaties, 15 Canadians, 3 from 2009, 3 from 1959, a couple of S1s. So just your typical box here. Like I said, with customers, it's always seems like lower on the Wheaties, but you get a little more copper, I always think, and more Canadians than normal because their typical America does not want Canadian pennies, so, but I do because they are 90% copper. So let's go through this roll here, kind of going through it here. I'm not seeing anything. We kind of had a little streak there, but it's kind of after roll 20, it's kind of rolled up, but we do got a Canadian live though. We got a Canadian live right there. Unfortunately, it is a zinker, but it is an anniversary one. It is 2002 right there. So that is the 50th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth. There is the Queen. God save the Queen right there. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. There you go. That is a zinker, but a pretty decent 2002. They stopped making them around 2006 or so. So, always good to find a Canadian. So that is our 16th Canadian. And let's see here. I'm not seeing any Wheaties, unfortunately. And unfortunately, the last one's going to be a shield set from 2020 Philadelphia. So not much else in that, but we did get a Canadian. It is a zinker. But it is the 50th anniversary one. Kind of cool to get. There it is, the 50th queen there. And we will keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, we're on roll 38 here. We got multiple finds. I thought I'd bring you in. First, we got two Canadians, so let's check them out here. So let's go. Oh, here we go. First one is 1995. That is 98% copper goodness from my friends up north in Canada. We appreciate your Canadian penny. And we got another one right here showing right out there, 1966. So, another older one there, so very nice. Actually, it's 1965. My fault. 65 there. One off the young head, but that is going to be Canadian number 18 and number 19. Now, we have another find here, which I didn't see until I got to this. So let's bring it up, and you're not going to see it very well. Actually, I'll turn off my light here, so maybe that will give it a little light there. That we got a proof penny here. Man, it is in really rough shape. We got a 2007 San Francisco. That is a proof penny right there. I hope you can see it. But man, this thing has been passed around. I never seen such a bad copy of a proof penny before. But man, that is in horrible condition there. So it's still, it's still a find. So we haven't found one of these in a very long time, a proof penny in circulation. But man, that is a bad shape. So that will count as a find. And I didn't see anything else here. So let me quick take a peek here. I think we're all set. So I'll keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, very next roll, roll 39. And we got multiple finds in here, so I thought I'd bring you in on this one as well. We got a couple more Canadians, so we're going to hit over our average. I averaged 20 Canadians in a box. We're going to hit that with these two right here, so let's pull it out here. There is the first one. That is 1989 right there. That is 98% copper goodness from our friends up north in Canada. We appreciate your Canadian pennies. Also, second Canadian right here. This one's a little toasty, but it still counts. It's 1985 right there, so hopefully you can see that. It is toasted. It's been in the ground for a while, but still 98% copper goodness from our friends up north Canada. We appreciate your Canadian pennies. That is 20 and 21. And we have a 2009 right there. And, 2009s are a little bit harder to find. So there it is. There's a congressional Lincoln there. That is a 2009 Philadelphia. This is a lower produced year, so you should be looking out for those. And they're kind of collector's items. So we're going to check it if it's satin or not. Again, they did make a very limited run that they put out in the public that was made out of copper, a.k.a. satin finish, versus regular zinc. And it is a zinker right there, 2.5 grams. That's how you can tell. And that is my fifth 2009 in the box. So I didn't see anything else when I was kind of poking around. But we'll keep on searching and bring you in on the next find. All right, you see what we have down there? We have the 50th roll. And as you know, we always open up the 25th and 50th roll live. So the last 10 rolls have been lackluster, to say the least. So I'm not expecting too much out of this, but we're still going to open it up. We'll get my summary, how I feel. Again, this is customer rolled. It's about what I expected from a customer roll box. So let's go through it here. I'm not going to go through every single one for you as we go along. There is a 1972 Philadelphia there. And trying to go looking at the old one, 78 there. And keep on going. This just looks like the last 10 rolls I've done. Nothing much. A lot of zinc, but there is some copper in here. We'll be measuring the copper here as well. I don't see anything else in this roll. This is how much copper we found. I'm going to roll this up. I'm going to give you the summary on this video here. So I'm going to search through this and then do my final tally and give you a summary of this box, so stay tuned. All right, we are back with that customer roll box that we just did, and let's do the summary here. Again, with customer roll a box, usually I expect lower amount of wheat cents, higher amount of Canadians, good, a little bit higher above average copper. And this was pretty much the case of this box. This is a typical box you would find probably in a customer rolled box that you get. So let's get into it. Let's start with the copper amount. Usually I find about 20% copper in my box, and this is no exception. This is $5.13 worth of copper. Ended up being 20.5%. So right on the bullseye there for what I would expect for copper. Usually get about 10 copper pennies per roll, and it pretty much hit right there. So we got a good amount there. As you recall, it's about 2 to 3 cents on copper values. So always save your pennies, because now with the government not going to produce pennies after probably next year, it sounds like, you might want to keep it. And, it might be a point where you might be allowed to melt it, or, you get the actual values worth of it. So something to keep in mind. I always store my copper pennies, so it's just something I do. You don't have to. So let's get going here on the points. There were 3 1959s, all 59Ds. I count them as a tenth of a point. They're nothing special. I just keep those aside. I just keep track of them. No point value for these, but we ended up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, or 2, 4, 6, 8, yep, 9 San Francisco pennies from 1968 to 1974. So nothing special there. I just like to keep the San Franciscos aside. A little lower produced than Denver and Philadelphia. That's why I always do it. We did end up with a 6 2009s. Nothing special. Again, 2009s was a lower produced year, so you should keep those aside always. And they have the the 100th anniversary Lincoln stuff on there, the memorial, the log cabin, congressional. So always keep those aside. Always look for satin 2009s and 2009 Philadelphia, one with him on the Lincoln or on the log. I don't think it got, like this one here for the extra finger, but none of that was there. So just typical 6. I usually average 4, so a little bit above average for 2009s. Let's get to the Canadians. We ended up with 22 Canadians, which is about, again, average for me. I average about 20. 22 is just about right. All but 2 were 98% copper goodness from my friends up north Canada. I appreciate your Canadian pennies. So almost all were copper. There was 3 that were young heads. So again, young heads are 1964 and older. So no King George's, but we did get 3 young heads. So again, they're in Canada. You can melt these if you want, or keep them, or sell them, or whatever. I keep them aside. A lot of people discard them, but again, 98% copper usually goes slightly, especially the older ones, go a little bit more premium than like 3 cents. So a little bit higher 3s. Copper value goes up, hit even 4 cents. So still, I keep them aside. I roll them and either sell them, or you can melt them. Now let's get into the big stuff. We did not do great on the wheat cents, as I kind of expected. We only ended up with 4 in this box. Again, lower than average. We only got 3 from the 50s. The oldest one was this 1940 Denver right there. So again, it's semi-common date once it's once it's pre-World War II though. So kind of cool, but still it's mostly a common year. So we did get one miscellaneous find here. We did get a 2007 proof penny. But man, this thing has been circulated so much. Look how brown, and that thing's been passed around probably since 2007. No one knew it was a proof penny, but that's unfortunate. You can kind of still see a little shine on it, but man, that thing has been through the ringer. Not much worth it now after all that, but still a little sci-fi in 2007 San Francisco proof penny. So we did find that. I haven't found a proof penny in quite a while. So that was it. Let me know what you guys think. I've been getting more and more customer rolls. I usually say my bank rolls for my live streams, which are Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check it out. We always do live hunts, and it's always a fun time on Monday nights. Come join us. You can join us for that, and we'll be opening up another customer box here soon. So until next time, everyone, Retro Robbie saying, collect what you love.